Praise be to Almighty Allah, the Lord of the universe, and peace be upon Prophet Muhammad, our beloved Prophet, peace be upon him. Dear members of the World Muslim Communities Council, our dear brothers and sisters, peace be with all of you. The Holy Quran, which was revealed during the holy month of Ramadan, aims to achieve peace, which is one of the beautiful names of Almighty Allah. As this name is associated with peace and blessings among all nations, as the greeting of Islam is peace be with all of you. Moreover, it is associated with the way the people of paradise greet one another, peace be with all of you. And also after the conclusion of the 5 daily prayers, we say peace be with you. So the linkage between this greeting and peace with many of the things that we conduct is something that is closely related, and it is a highly important one. That is why it is highly important to highlight this topic and to make us feel that it is really important to focus on the greetings and greeting one another. And greeting is associated with peace, and this is the objective of all humans. And these topics, peace, and this is one of the most beautiful names of Almighty Allah, and saying peace be upon you to at the end of each prayer, and peace is the way forward through which we move forward and achieve our final objective, whether it is in the heavens or this feeling, this sense of peace, because even at your home you need to enjoy peace. So whether it is at the external level or at the internal level. And when talking about the spiritual aspects and the spiritual dimensions of living together in peace, what is meant by spiritual dimensions and the definition of that, and then talking about living together in peace and the importance of living together in peace in our modern day life, particularly in the wake of everything and all the challenges that we are facing and witnessing. Of course, with the advent of technological advancement, there is a great deal of attention that is being paid to how we change the situation that we are facing and the problems that we're facing, because we're facing many problems simultaneously. There is a great deal of attention towards looking for solutions and how to tackle these challenges, and still there is a grave negligence of the spiritual dimension of our lives. The spiritual dimension is confronted with the material aspects, with life and with mundane things such as eating and drinking and all of the ornaments of this mundane world. This has become more important than anything else. People have become more closely associated to mundane issues and much closer to their instinctive needs and to their mundane needs more than anything else. The spiritual dimension, which is called also the vertical dimension, is an endless one. Before anything was introduced or created, it existed, and it will continue to exist forever. It is marked by perseverance, continuity, and endlessness. Now I'm sitting I'm sitting close to the garden of my house, and I'm listening to the sound of the birds. But if I don't pay much attention to the spiritual dimension, I may be still in the same environment and I don't feel any of that. I don't feel the fresh breath that is really all over the place, and that I'm really enjoying here in this place. So when talking about the spiritual dimension, the spiritual dimension starts from within and moves forward. And our mother Khadija, the wife of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon her, spoke about this steadfastness. This sense of steadfastness makes you content, makes you happy, even when you face certain situations that are marked by fear or anxiety. They still complement and supplement these spiritual dimensions. So this spiritual dimension is marked by integration and continuity and cleanliness. It is also marked by being keen on observing one's piety, and it is based on one's love for Almighty Allah. So when we talk about the spiritual dimensions, of course, Almighty Allah says, I have created humanity or human beings and jinn only to worship me, as Almighty Allah pointed out in the Holy Quran. So this spiritual dimension is the dimension that pushes us forward towards this vertical relation towards the heavens, and also with a parallel relation that is associated to the people whom Almighty Allah created. So we live in a cycle. We don't know where this cycle begins nor where it ends, but this cycle is definitely moving in a vertical dimension towards Almighty Allah, and this is the spiritual dimension that has to do with this magnetic energy that holds people together, that we see this warm energy when people are circumambulating the Kaaba and moving in this cycle, which is big enough to encompass the entire universe. So the spiritual dimension, it does exist. However, realizing this spiritual dimension or having it present in our lives is the most important element that we need to focus on. However, when we talk about the spiritual dimensions, when we talk about them, we cannot really clarify them nor explain them in material terms. This is something that is part of the unseen. It is part of the unseen, yet it is an energy that we can sense. It is a very strong energy that we can sense. We can sense it and feel it and talk about it, and we can try to manifest this spiritual energy through dealing with one another in a good way and by manifesting good values and so on. Those who realize the importance of this spiritual dimension live a heaven on earth, because they really do not have any negative feelings. So this realization and this understanding of these spiritual dimensions, which complement and supplement this human being and his life and his entire existence, and it turns this human being into someone who has a positive energy, someone who is full of vitality, someone who is full of joy and rejoicing and happiness. And as they say, as said in the hadith, all the affairs of a believer are good. Even if they face, or even if a believer faces a calamity or loses a beloved one or faces an ordeal, still this sense within him and this feeling within him pushes him to continue to be adopting a positive outlook. So this is the positive outlook that enables us to overcome all diseases, whether they are material diseases or spiritual diseases or psychological illnesses, because we have many types of diseases and illnesses in nature and in human body and on earth, and there are spiritual diseases and illnesses, diverse and different ones. However, this spiritual dimension is the one that can clarify and cleanse one's soul, and this is the tool that can rinse and clean one's spiritual dimension. The white clothes that we always like to wear, and we supplicate Almighty Allah to clear all dirts and all evils from our hearts. It is a manifestation of this, and when we supplicate Almighty Allah to protect us, and we supplicate Almighty Allah to enable us to be worshipping Him in the best possible manner. All of this is something that enables us to boost and underpin the spiritual dimension. So when we talk about the spiritual dimension, we are talking about the relationship between a human being and his creator, as I've previously said. And also when we talk about the spiritual dimension, we are talking about this behavior which people deal with, and the behavior through which they adapt their relationship towards Almighty Allah and boost it and deal with others. So, with these characteristics, or in light of these feelings that human beings have, or one have, when one has such feelings, he will have enough presence. You need to be really aware of your time and age, or the time and age in which you live. You should not be just someone who just passed by in this life and never left any positive impact in this universe. So this positive energy and this positive impact is something that enables us to feel that we should not be content with playing a small role. We need to play a major role. We need to play a significant role in this life, because we have a sense of responsibility. It reflects our sense of responsibility now. Of course, we know that we have religious obligations and mandatory obligations for individuals, and there is sunnah, and there is additional obligations, and there are additional commitments and voluntary commitments. However, I must have my own stand. I must make my own stand. I must make my own presence felt. I must command people to do the right thing and avoid sins. This type of existence boosts the sense of peace in the universe, because when people volunteer and put themselves forward and serve their community, definitely they will never spread mischief on the earth, but they will mend things and spread goodness. So this sufficient presence and this feeling, this sense of responsibility, also emanates from one's soul and is manifested in one's behavior, and it is based on love. It is based on love. Almighty Allah called himself the loving one. So this represents the epitome and the pinnacle of love. Pure love, and if one can elevate himself to this beautiful name of Almighty Allah, and to boost one's behavior in this regard, and enable us to love things because we love them in the way of Almighty Allah, and not just for achieving some mundane interests or temporary love, or transient love, or just loving someone haphazardly. Someone you love someone today, and then for no reason you just hate him again. No, we must have this type of feeling that shapes the relationship between human beings in a sublime and well-elevated and well-structured manner with all beings and with everything that is around us, to have these characteristics. So when we have this realization of the spiritual dimension, we feel everything. We feel even the blood running in our veins. We feel it, and we have become distant from the spiritual dimension, and we cling to mundane things. At the same time, we have even lost the value of this mundane dimension, because the spiritual dimension enables us to enjoy and rejoice all the other dimensions, and taste and enjoy all the other dimensions, in the sense that the spiritual dimensions are the types of energy through which we can live. Someone without energy is nobody. And without the impetus and the driver and the incentive and motivation, this motivation is not something material or material gain that you seek to achieve, but it is something that emanates from yourself and pushes you forward to do your very best in life and be in best form and shape. The double crisis that we are living nowadays, which has made us think in a very selfish manner and take care of ourselves only, and to have some sort of satanic ideas and think in a very strange and perverted manner. I believe that this is definitely not the true nature of humanity. These are things that people have acquired, things that we have acquired in our lifetime. And when we talk about them and everything that we do in terms of preaching and our prayers and our remembrance of Almighty Allah, and maintaining one's cleanliness and dealing with people in a good manner, the most important element is to observe those spiritual dimensions and to maintain within the group, group that seeks to achieve this piety. Almighty Allah always supports the pious people. Almighty Allah created all people from the same soul. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. Through this verse from the Holy Quran, we can extract the spiritual dimension which refers to being pious and being a God-fearing individual. Almighty Allah started this verse by calling upon us to be pious and also concluded it by and fear Allah. First, fear your Creator, fear your Lord, because Almighty Allah is speaking to humanity as a whole, to all people. So, from this perspective, I want to stress that faith and Islam are very not just acts of devotion, it is an internal state, it is a spiritual state. We should never look down on people's contributions. We should always call for accepting other people and respecting all religions and respecting humanity and respecting human beings as a whole. So those who have faith and believe in the Creator of the universe, in the existence of Almighty Allah, and those who believe that there is a direct relation between being pious and piety on the one hand and one's destiny. In this case, your destiny is clear and your objectives are clear, and in such a case all of us can live in a more peaceful manner and in a more interactive manner and support one another to combat all challenges and to confront all challenges. So all of us belong to the same soul, and from this soul Almighty Allah created a male and a female, and after that we see the presence and the existence of all things, and we see human beings living one another side by side. So the spiritual dimensions should be gathered within the human being, otherwise one will delve deeper into the aspects of inhumanity. So the most important element here is to focus on the spiritual dimensions. The spiritual dimensions as a principle and the principal dimension as an endless domain, and between the two dimensions there is the relationship that binds us together. If the secret of existence and the secret of all movement, as Ibn Taymiyyah said, this secret is love, as I just pointed out. Divine and universal love which reshapes the relationship between human beings and enables them to restore their sense of humanity in a way that is linked to the same soul from which they were created. Almighty Allah says that He created all humans from a single soul. So as pointed out in this verse from the Holy Quran, we should realize, since we have been created from a single soul, then all of us, even if there are billions of people living on earth, all of us go back, and our roots go back to Adam, and Adam was created from dust. So, but this soul, this single soul, if my soul and the other soul are one and the same, then we should have peaceful coexistence. We should realize that we are one, and of course some differences may appear, and this is something normal that happens in marital life, between married couples, between brothers and sisters and siblings, between mothers and their children, between fathers and their children, between cousins and aunts and nieces and so on. However, at the end of the day, the key and the most important dimension is the psychological dimension, in the sense that all of us should realize that we belong to the same soul. The most important element is the fact that all of us go back to a single soul, and we have the same driver and incentive in life. If we have different opinions or different ideas, and we have different interests and different ways of earning our sustenance, what matters the most is that we should not do one another wrong. We should not do injustice to one another, as pointed out by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in one of his hadiths. So what combines us together is that all of us are linked together. There is a very strong relationship that goes back all the way to this first soul from which all of us were created. So from this perspective, we see the fact that no one should do another injustice. We should respect these values. We should respect these laws and respect these pillars. People had their own spiritual dimensions and they prevailed. However, with the advent of technology and developments, things have changed significantly, and differences among people turned into evil differences of opinion. So when we remember what was mentioned by the UN Charter, the ability to live in peace and peaceful coexistence among all human beings. So it is the same principle that we're referring to be united in peace and to live together. The General Assembly declared the 16th of May as the International Day of Living in Peace Together. The General Assembly of the UN pointed out that this day is the path forwards to bring together all the efforts of the international community to boost tolerance and peaceful coexistence and integration and solidarity and fraternity, and expressing people's and community members' desire to work together and to live in peace together, despite their differences, to build a peaceful world that is full of solidarity and tranquility. So even the picture used by the UN depicts a number of hands on top of one another from different skin colors, with people who have different skin colors, and they're putting their hands together with one another. So it is very important to make this decision to live together in peace. This is actually a decision. It is a promise. It is a pledge. Almighty Allah will support this pledge. When we put our hands together and we have this connection, there is another dimension for this connection, which is the spiritual dimension. Living together is an objective. Living together in peace is important. Living together is a necessity, because at the end of the day, people cannot live alone. People need to live together and to live with other people, with other individuals who serve them, will help them, with those who help them, with those who work with them, with those who supervise them. So when we are during the whole month of Ramadan, we usually envision this dimension and feel this dimension that is quite present when we are also in the season of Hajj or pilgrimage. It is also quite present, and it can be felt when we gather in the mosque, when we pray in congregation in mosques. This dimension is also clearly manifested on several occasions, whether during marriage, weddings and marriage, and when we offer condolences in funerals and so on. We see this clear spiritual dimension when we gather together to have a meal together. This dimension is also clearly manifested when we see people putting a large pot, as we see in Senegal. People bring a large pot, Senegalese tribes and Hausawiya tribes, they bring a very large pot, and everybody puts their hands in that pot as a sign of solidarity. And even some Arab nations do that. This type of solidarity and the linkage between people, this takes us back to living together. When we share this large tray of food, and when we live in peace, this is something that is great. But when we disagree, there will be disputes. He's taking a larger share than me. He's taking or eating a larger piece of or chunk of meat compared to me. So we disagree. So we have a problem. No, what we should focus on is peace. We should always remember that peace is one of the beautiful names of Almighty Allah. But peace is a wonderful thing. Peace should be something that all of us remember whenever we go anywhere. We should have this beautifully decorated Islamic and Arab signboard which says peace at the entrance of every home, at the entrance of every city, and it should be the slogan of each school, from each school and from each society and association. We should have clear signs that refer to peace. I would like to conclude. I would like to conclude by saying that the spiritual dimensions for living together is that people should have a positive energy, an energy that is full of peace. We should let nature survive. We should let nature evolve. We should not stand against humanity. How do we stand against humanity? Because today, what we have seen during this pandemic and the challenges that we have witnessed made us realize that we want to live together, that we want to live in peace together. We want this spiritual dimension to have other dimensions. We wanted to have presence in the lives of our people, in the life of our children, and in our relationships. We wanted to be present in everything that we see. So whenever I see something or see, whenever I see leaves moving, whenever I go to the beach and enjoy the sands, the grains of sand that I walk on, I see this dimension. I realize this dimension. When I listen to the sound of waves, of the waves of the sea, and see the beauty of the greenery in gardens, and I really feel that I sense the beauty of this spiritual dimension. We need to start by this spiritual dimension, and we need to instill these values in our children. Children are really the members of the family and the beings who really have this sense of purity and who have this perspective. They need this peace. They need to live in peace, and it is our duty to ensure that they have a peaceful future and a peaceful present. We need to protect peace in the time, in present time, and in the future. Of course, there are challenges and there are tribulations, but the decision in our hands. We are the ones who determine how we should live. We are the ones who determine which way we want to live, and we have made a decision. We want to live together in peace. The World Muslim Communities Council, even by virtue of its own name, the World Muslim Communities Council, those communities, Muslim communities, they live. But what matters the most for those communities is to live in peace together, and to live in peace with non-Muslim communities as well. We have not experienced it in Africa, and I'm speaking about Africa because I'm talking about West Africa, because I live in West Africa. I'm talking about Benin because I live in Benin. We didn't know the difference. We didn't even look at others as if they were against us or different from us. We used to perceive of others as a very basic component of our community. We believed that we need them because we cannot live without them. Wives cannot live without their husbands, and the same thing about children and about husbands and families and so on. Yes, we say this is a senior citizen. We take him to a rest home or a nursing home, and when a young man grows up, we kick him out of the house. This was never part of our traditions. This was never part of our traditions. The extended family still exists in Benin, yet we have many challenges, especially after having so many well-educated people want to live alone and to have their own independence. However, at the end of the day, families bring us together when we welcome a newborn baby, and families convene together to pray for the dead, and they convene during funerals to bid the deceased individual farewell. So this community and this society will also convene on Judgment Day to welcome those who come in peace and say, peace be upon you, you are most welcome. So we pay special attention to living together in peace, and we believe that this is one of the very important dimensions. It's among other dimensions. However, at the end of the day, these are spiritual dimensions. They are very important, and they are the secret of our existence, and the secret of our dealing with one another, and the secret of our continuity. We cannot survive without having this dimension. I would like to thank you very much for listening to me. I'd like to thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and I hope that I have that I have made some of these spiritual elements really move within you, and I hope that my words will have a far-reaching impact, and that others will listen to what I said and really feel its meaning and express it to others. Because what matters the most, the element that matters the most today, is maintaining our humanity, our sense of humanity, and protecting these values that bring us together as human beings, and to stand side by side and join hands to face all current challenges nowadays. Thank you very much, and peace be with all of you. Thank you.